Hi guys, today we're going to talk about creating a digital stop motion video. So we're going to be using Google Slides to do this. So once you're on Google Slides, you're going to create a series of slides that are progressively different just by a little bit. And when you play them all together, it's going to create a stop motion video effect. So I have one already created here that I'm going to show you, and then we'll go through some step-by-step processes to show you how to create one on your own. So as you can see, I have a background, and if you look at all my slides over here, they have the same background. Now that doesn't mean throughout the video you can't change your background if the scene warrants a change. The other thing I have that are off to the side here are my characters. Now they don't have to be characters, they can be objects, anything you want to move. So I have a little crab over here, and I have a seagull up here. Now the reason they're not on the slide is because I want them to start off the screen at the beginning and then eventually come onto the screen. So when I actually play my video, you won't see anything that's not on the slide. So at this point you won't see this seagull and you won't see this crab. So then what happens if I click through these slides here, if you watch just the crab at the bottom even, you can see that as every slide goes down, he moves over a tiny little bit. Okay, and then eventually you'll see the seagull move down a little bit. So every slide I've moved both characters a tiny little bit. So what that does, and I'll come over here and show you what that looks like, is it creates this effect. So while I created just different stationary slides, when they're played all together, they create a little animation. So some different effects that I used, if you noticed at one point, let's see if I can get to it, the crab, you see he backs up and moves forward. So see, he backs up there, moves forward, and backs up again. So you think when an object gets further away, it starts to back up. It's going to look smaller to the person watching it, and as the object or the character moves forward, it's going to look bigger. So if you notice, as my crab backs up, he gets a little bit smaller, and as he moves forward, he gets a little bit bigger. So those are just a few neat effects that you can use to make your stop motion video look a little bit more realistic. So how do we put it all together? So if you start with a blank presentation, you always have this kind of stuff going on. So you have a place to add a title and a subtitle. We want a blank slide. So I'm just going to click this add a title section just right on the edge where it makes that crosshairs type thing. And I'm going to hit either delete or backspace on my keyboard. And I'm going to do the same thing to subtitle so I have a nice blank canvas. Okay. So then we're going to create a background. So to create a background, in Google Slides, we have a button right here that says background. We're going to choose an image. And up top here, we're going to choose search. Okay, and now we can do Google search and we can search whatever type of background we want. So let's say we want a schoolyard. Oh, schoolyard. And all kinds of different options come up. So let's pick this one. And the background that we want will appear on our slide. So we just start with one slide, we get everything set up with one slide, and then we worry about the rest of them. So next we're going to include our objects or characters. So if you go up here to insert, image, and we're going to search the web. So this little search bar comes up over here where we can search the web. Now, if I wanted to have a child running across the scene, I could do child. But if you look, see all these children, they have these backgrounds. So if I tried to put one of these in my scene, that background would come with it and it would look really silly. So I'm going to say no background. And that's really important that you make sure, and maybe we'll pick cartoon child. so that you have images that have no background. So when I put one of these in here now, because I picked no background, let's put this one in. And not all of them will come with no background, even though that's what we searched. But we can just try to find what we can. So there we have this child, this baby. I don't know why he's walking across a schoolyard all by himself, but he is, with no background. So you can see the background that we created right behind him. So he's obviously way too big, so we can make him nice and small. And we're going to put him over on this side of the scene. So I put him half on and half off, so that you'll only see half of him at the beginning, and he'll walk further on into scene. And maybe he is going to be chasing a soccer ball. And again, no background. So we can take the soccer ball and put it on the scene as well. There we go. Oh, put two of them on there. Now, unfortunately, with this, the no background kind of failed us because you can see right through the soccer ball. So let's see if we can find another one. So we go insert image, the web search. There's a different, let's try the soccer ball, see if this one helps. There, that one's a lot better. And we'll put it down to a more reasonable size for this baby. Okay. And we're going to put it right by the baby. Okay. So let's say my scene, I want the ball to roll across the schoolyard and the baby to chase it. So that's my first, that's where I'm going to start. So now, instead of starting from scratch on my second slide, I'm going to go up here where my slides exist, and I'm going to right click on that slide. Now, if you're using a Chromebook, you can't right click on a Chromebook, but you just tap the mouse pad with 2 fingers and you should get the same menu. And we're going to go down to duplicate slide. So what that's going to do is make an exact copy of the slide we just created. So on the second slide now, I'm going to get rid of these pictures. We're going to move our objects a tiny little bit. So I'll take my soccer ball, move it over just a tiny little bit, and take the baby and move them over a tiny little bit. We can duplicate slide again and move them a tiny little bit and move the baby a tiny little bit as well. And you can keep doing this for as long as you want, and you move it as you want. So if we want the soccer ball to start moving up further back on the schoolyard, maybe we'll duplicate slide. We'll back it up a little bit, but we'll also make it a little bit smaller as well. Okay? And you're going to continue this process for quite a while. So the little film that I showed you with the crab and the seagull was about 50 slides. So it is kind of a time-consuming process. But once you get into the duplicate and move stage, it starts to go pretty quick. So as you see, I already have 7 slides. Okay. So once you're done all of your slides and you're happy with your whole presentation, how do you create a little video like I did with my seagull and crab? So what we do is we go to File, and we're going to publish to the web. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us a link to our presentation that you can send to me. You can share it with other people, whatever you'd like, instead of sending the whole presentation. So we go publish to the web, and it says advance the slides every 3 seconds. That's a long time for stop motion. Preferably you'd want a number of slides every second. So you'd want much less than a second per slide. So 3 seconds is way too long. Unfortunately, every second is the slowest that Google Slides will do, which still is a little bit too long for stop motion. But we're going to be able to fix that and change that timing of the slides a little bit later. So we're going to click publish so that we can create that URL, that link, which is right there now. So we have a link. So I'm going to copy it by pressing Control-C. I'm going to go to a new tab up here, and I'm going to paste it by pressing Control V. Now, if you see over here, right at the very end of the link is the number 3000. And 3000 represents 3 seconds per slide. So all we have to do is backspace that 3000 and change it to something a little bit smaller. So I'm going to put 200. So 200 would be about 5 slides per second, which is pretty good for stop motion. Now, the closer together you move your images and the faster you play them, the smoother your video will be. Okay, so I only did about 6 slides. So you can see there's where I started. I only did about 6 slides, so this is going to be really short. But let's see what it looks like. So we can hit play down the bottom. Something like that. Okay, so when you're all done, what you can do is you can copy this URL from here and email it to me, or your other option is to go up on the top corner of your presentation and hit share, and you can share that with me as well. Okay, so try to be creative, try to do something different, play with it, see what you can come up with, and you know, just have fun with it. Thanks.